Welcome back. Governor Rick Perry enters the presidential fray and causes quite a stir right off already with some saucy language and an off-the-cuff remark with a Houston TV reporter. That is already being introduced. That happened some time ago, but has been introduced into the presidential campaign. Denounced for his views on creationism in New Hampshire by a small child who was brought forward by his mother to ask about evolution. The question, I guess, becomes, does this bode unhappily for Governor Rick Perry and his run for president? James Shannon?
Mike Truncale might disagree. Rick Perry right now is focused laser-like on the core constituency that votes in GOP primaries and caucuses. It's a group that's dominated by evangelical Christians, by the Tea Party, who can, summon their troops in numbers. That's disproportionately who votes in the GOP primary. What he's doing, it makes sense if that's where he wants to succeed. The problem is, how does it translate to the general election? But when I see him standing on a bale of hay with his boots displayed and his accent is twice as thick as I've ever heard it before, I'm wondering, is Jethro Bodine running for president? Yeah. That's an old reference.
The reference here, and we won't go into all of it, but adios blank 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 was the comment the governor made some time ago with a Houston television reporter. He got in some trouble with it then. Does that adios blank 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 saucy language, does that become a detriment to the religious right that would support him?
They'll overlook that. No, but accusing Ben Bernanke of treason, the head of the Federal Reserve, because you don't agree with his policies. We basically don't execute department heads in this country.
Michael Truncale?
Yes, let me tell you, Governor Perry speaks from the heart. He's clear and concise in what he says, and America is ready for straight talk. Mm-hmm. They're tired of all the political rhetoric. I think Rick Perry is the new Ronald Reagan, and he will persuade Americans to come along with him because he's going to give straight talk and clear answers for America's problems.
Well, I mean, straight talk and common sense is something that people, at least ostensibly, are crying out for right now.
Certainly, and he's a Texan, and we always shoot from the hip. Gets a lot of us in trouble talking without thinking sometimes.
Will he get in trouble?
I think he does that.
Will the party apparatus say this is a detriment in the long run, because even if he wins the primary, he's going to be a detriment to the Republican Party?
I don't think it's a fair criticism, and I'll tell you why. He's only been running for, what, a week?
Right.
And everything he says, they're concentrating on and trying to, discredit him. Give him some time, and he'll do that on his own. He's not going to need help from us.
What do you think, Mr. Truncale?
He is making great headway in the polls. All the polls show he's nearing the top, and that's because of his straightforward manner. I think he's going to do fine.
James?
Let me remind you of the last presidential candidate, or non-candidate in this race, who came in with a splash, shot to the top of the polls, commanded total media attention for a couple of months. His name was Donald Trump. The idea, yeah, exactly. The idea that Donald Trump was ever going to be president, it did yield to us one of the great lines in modern American politics. Meatloaf, should I run for president?
Yes, but there's a difference.
No, I'm not saying Perry's a meatloaf.
Perry has a record to run on.
That's right.
Because what he's done in the state of Texas by having a good regulatory environment, lower taxes, and holding spending has created jobs here in Texas.
Is he a job creator? James Shannon, is Obama a job killer?
Perry has created some jobs, many of them with government subsidies that he handed out. He has a research fund that Texas has granted incentives to companies. That's what you need to do to get business to move in. Don't get me wrong. Perry has contributed to that. President Obama, I don't call him a job killer, and I don't think having an environmental protection agency, for example, which Bachman, Perry, and the rest constantly point to as a job killer. We need environmental regulation in this country. It needs to be common sense, but no, we're not killing jobs on the other side.
Since the president said, I'm going to tell you about my jobs plan, the Dow Jones Industrial Average has dropped 2,000 points, however, because we're still waiting to hear this jobs plan that's supposed to put America back on track. 9.2, 9.1, whatever it is, the unemployment rate is at an extraordinary high level. What was the holdup? Literally, can you explain?
I would have to say it's political. The idea of fronting out a jobs program that you have no chance of passing, that's also politically damaging. But this idea, it's perpetually damaging to the American economy, that we sit around and tremble and shiver every time the Dow hiccups. It's just, that's a
2,000
reality.
points.
Yeah, okay. It comes and goes.
It's only $3 trillion in market value.
It's a lot of retirements.
It's for
we need to look, and those same retirements took a huge hit in 08.
We bring in about $5 billion a day, but we're spending as a federal government over $9 billion. That deficit spending is going to bankrupt this country. That's what people are afraid of. The threat of Obamacare with its punitive penalties on people and higher taxes, taking money out of the private sector, regulations that keep people from building chemical plants and expanding right here in southeast Texas. That's the greatest threat to people here in this district, and that's why we need to stand together and work to defeat Obama in 2012.
Well, let's not jump ahead and blame all of this on Obama. This is world economics. You know, we're on a world stage here, and with Spain, you know, in trouble.
In truth,
Portugal,
as James Shannon would remind us, in truth, it's the European markets and the
they crashed yesterday. They crashed, and so certainly we're going to have a response to that. And our markets are lower.
But the reason is America is the great economic engine, and when they see us faltering, when they see us becoming the next Greece, that creates a scare throughout the entire world
Europe
economy.
is defaulting too. You have Spain, Portugal, all these countries that can't pay their bills. Greece, you know, that's not America.
But
that's why their markets are going down, not because of us.
Let me interject this, Michael. You've talked about the debt. You're a candidate for Congress. Would you have voted against raising the debt ceiling? Would you have voted against raising the debt ceiling, thereby risking a worldwide economic collapse?
The debt ceiling should not have been raised. We have got to get a control on spending. I hope that what was passed will lead us in the right direction. There is a committee that hopefully will have some, give us some promise in making some cuts, but the main thing is to get the cuts in place so that we can get our economy.
Very quickly, let me get in this last question about the Super Congress, and actually we'll go on a run here. We'll go down the line. True or false, gentlemen? With this distinguished panel, we know that this true or false type questioning will lead to great reasoning. Can the Super Congress that we've talked about, involving Senator John Kerry, Congressman Jeb Hensarling, and others, really form a bipartisan plan that would reduce America's debt by $4 trillion? True or false? Can the Super Congress do it? Can there be some degree of consensus building whereby a real deficit reduction plan is in fact passed?
False until after the 2012 election. Nothing
False,
will
it can't happen
then.
because Congress is going to be political right to the end. Even the Super Congress of, what is it, 12?
Exactly.
They're going to be. True or false? Can they do it?
False. I don't think they can. This Congress as a whole couldn't stay their own execution. That's how politically bankrupt they are.
Can they do it? True or false?
I'm hopeful, but I'm concerned.
I'm hopeful but concerned. Michelle Bachmann will bring back $2 a gallon gas. James Shannon, true or false?
False. Absolutely. Ask Ray Perryman. He says we're going to have $200 a barrel gas oil by 2020.
True or false?
Absolutely false.
True or false?
We need to drill, and put more southeast Texans to work. When we get the oil in here, then the price of gas will go down.
The president should not presume to tell al-Assad to leave Syria because of his unpopularity with the Syrian people. True or false?
False. Assad's got to go.
Assad has to go.
False. Assad's got to go.
A president needs to not be afraid. He needs to do what is right.
Well put. Coming up, Godfrey Leggett,
false?
Jeffrey Lewis, and Eddie Arnold on Southeast Texas Weekly right after this. Stay with us.